This is a More Than Just Podcast production.
Welcome to Podcast Season 6, Episode 47. My name is Tim Mitra. I am in Toronto, Ontario. I'm joined by Jonathan Acolyte in Mississauga, Ontario.
Hello there, kids.
And it's only 2 more sleeps till Melville. Melville?
Melville?
Melvin? Melvin?
Melvin. No, Melvin's coming on Tuesday.
4 more sleeps, okay.
Four more sleeps till Melvin, yes.
So wait, so how did Melvin get Melvin's name?
So I was trying to, so we're getting a new dog for those who are trying to figure out what we're talking about. We were trying to decide, to be fair, it was me. My beautiful wife decided that, you know, we should get another dog. And since it was my birthday and every other holiday that falls this year, she's going to get a dog for me. And she said, since it's going to be a dog for you, we'll give it, you can name the dog. And so I was trying to think of names that meant something to me. I didn't want to just be, you know, random. So I started thinking about people who are like my, you know, sort of icons of my life, heroes, stuff like that. And the name that popped into my head was Mel, because Mel Brooks.
Okay.
Mel Brooks and George Carlin are probably the 2 people most responsible for my sense of humor. And the other person that popped into my head was Mel Blanc, because Mel Blanc, of course, is the voice of Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck and Sylvester and Tweety and all these iconic Looney Tunes characters. And so I kind of started thinking about Mel, and I thought, oh, I should look up, because I know that Mel Brooks is not named Mel Brooks. That's a name he took on for his career. His name is actually Melvin Kaminsky. So I looked it up, and both Mel Blanc and Mel Brooks, their full name is actually Melvin. And I thought, that's a name you never hear anymore, is Melvin. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought, that's actually a pretty good dog name. It's got an M sound, it's got a V, it's got two syllables, which is always good for dogs. And I was kind of joking a little bit when I first started saying, that would actually be a pretty good name. And then around the house here, everyone sort of gravitated to it. And so now we're going to have a dog named Melvin.
Okay. Well, but there's another Melville. Maybe I'm thinking Melville.
Well, Herman Melville's Moby Dick, right?
Oh, maybe that's where I'm getting stuck on the Melville thing. Right. I was just thinking that maybe Mel. Right. Now I'm lost. Melvin
is going to be the dog. Melville is Herman Melville, the author of Moby Dick, and great uncle of Moby, the musician.
Who is Melville?
Herman Melville is like the great uncle of Moby. That's why they called him Moby.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, as in Moby Dick. Oh, yeah. Cool. Huh. Is he spelled with a Y or an I, Moby?
Moby would be M-O-B-Y.
Okay. The musician as well.
The musician, yeah. Yep.
But wait, so his name is Moby or his nickname is Moby?
No, I believe it's his nickname. I don't think Moby's his actual name.
But his parents or whatever called him, or friends or whatever.
Yeah, it was a nickname, and yeah,
high school or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool. A pretty good, like, you know, hey, you know what my great uncle did? Yeah.
Oh, fact check. You know, I kind of wonder about like our Slack friends sometimes, because, you know, I think we're happy that Keen gives us the feedback he gives us, right?
Yes. Well, because I realized he's an active participant, and we appreciate.
I know, that. Yeah, and and appreciate is the key word there, right? Because he said something about being called out about something that we were talking about, the Thor's hammer and
Mjolnir, yeah.
And then we were talking about a couple of other, and some feedback. He did back me up on the fact that Owo and Detmer were driving the Enterprise back to the ISS. He said. I can't find it now. See, Keen, we love you, but we can't. Oh, there. No,
yeah, it might have been in the spoiler section of our Slack channel.
Oh, maybe I should look in the spoiler zone. Yeah,
it's probably. So we have a spoiler zone for those of you who haven't been there yet. Please go visit. It's a lot of fun. We have good conversations on there.
Yeah, and what we do is we put the name of the show up, and then we reply in the thread. So that way, if you haven't seen the show, you don't have to get spoiled, right? So, there's some feedback on number 10. Yeah, okay, well, let's talk about the feedback we got on 10, right? So his wife said that you're talking about the last episode of Discovery that She guessed it would have 4 endings. He guessed it would have 6. In the end, they counted 9 endings.
It really was very Lord of the Rings-esque.
I told you, it was like, the Saxo Baggins is emptying Bilbo's house out was one of the parts of it, right?
Yeah.
And they did watch Calypso again. Oh, I just am reading this now. I'm reading this fresh. Wow, cool. Maybe Enterprise J, something to do with the Red Directive. He's got a picture of Molly here. Yeah, and we're talking about the lady from the wife from Princess Bride. What's her name? The lady.
Oh yeah, I know who you mean. Oh,
she was on the show for like 2 seconds.
No, she hasn't been on this. She was on Strange New Worlds, wasn't it? Or was it this one?
Was it? Oh, that was this one.
Was it this one?
And he says, wasn't she an instructor on Starfleet Academy?
She was.
No, you're right. No, she wasn't on this one. She was on Strange New Worlds. You're right.
Strange New Worlds. Yeah,
because we have enough scientists on Discovery, right?
Yeah.
He says, my biggest complaint of the series, glad we saw some of them for a moment in the last episode.
Oh yeah, we finally saw Oo and Detmer.
Yeah, he says you've seen every episode a dozen times. You still can only name a few of the main characters, right?
Yeah, it really did become the Michael Burnham show.
Yeah,
in a way that was a little different than what we were used to from some of the other Trek series.
Well, yeah, and I think that's it. I think that was, I think that was the sort of story, like right from the get-go. They said it was going to be all about this one particular character, right? So I still can't find the follow-up. I
did see in the main part of the spoiler zone, Dave, one of our regular contributors, Dave Price, post that we missed a line that was really good. He said, "I can't believe you guys missed Maul's line, 'Not so dead as we were led to believe,' which is a take on Khan's 'Not so wounded as we were led to believe' from Wrath of Khan." That's a really good catch by Dave.
He says, "I got directly called out trying to make up for my flub." Well, we didn't. Really? Thor got Stormbringer in Guardians of the Galaxy instead of the 2 members of the what? I don't remember him saying that. Anyway, or maybe I misread it. I don't know. And he talked about crop dusting being a term that actually
we did talk about yes.
Well, I mean, I don't think you were around. I'd never heard crop dusting before myself, but although, yeah, whatever. And the Itnorok were named in the episode with Janal. And the Comprehensive Guide to Talaxian Hairstyles is one of the books that they called out. Cool. So anyway, thanks for the feedback, Keen. We love you. Keep sending in your comments, and we'll try to remember to mention them on the show.
Yep.
And if you haven't joined our Slack channel yet, please ping us, and we'll get you in here.
Yeah.
We talk about all kinds of stuff. There's all kinds of like behind the scenes, discussion about things and stuff. And like today, I posted a time-lapse video of them putting Ariam's makeup on the actress, right? They don't name in this thing. They don't name her in the
and we also, anyway. We have some, good midweek conversations between episodes where we share trailers and we talk about stuff that's going to be coming up on the episode. So yeah, it's a good place to hang out.
Yeah, for sure.
Join us. Join us,
you will. All right, so let's move on to, I do have a catchphrase for later on, but remind me of it. It's a Yoda thing.
Yodaism, yeah.
Yodaism. So let's move on to the headlines. And Jonathan, you're up first with some amazing news that we've all been chomping at the bit to hear.
Oh, yes. So we've been talking about what's going to happen with Star Trek Prodigy. We talked about it just recently on an episode, just trying to figure out...
Paramount's tax write-off?
That's right. Paramount's, we're not interested in publishing this. You guys can have it. So we knew that it was going to come out on Netflix. There was... it had already appeared in some other markets, and there was a lot of, when's it going to come out for the rest of us? And now we've got confirmation. It's been confirmed in a couple of different spots this week. We're going to get Star Trek Prodigy Season 2 on Netflix on July the 1st. Now, the part that seems to be a little bit confusing, different articles, different times they were released, it seems like what's going to happen is they're going to drop, like Netflix, they're going to drop all 20 episodes at once, which is a completely different model. We've never gotten Star Trek like that on any series ever. But of course, that's Netflix's model. So...
Boo, hiss, boo.
Yeah, so I think when Jaime gets back, we can talk about how we want to parse it. Maybe we can do, 5 episodes at a time or something as a little review, or we can watch the whole thing and talk about it. We have to decide how we're going to spin it out. But yeah, it's good that we're finally going to get a chance to see it. Hopefully, it does a better job of giving us some closure, although I'm not sure that's true. Or maybe even it'll get us a chance to get up season 3 if they get really good results. Who knows?
Yeah. I just want to know if the first episode's going to be an hour long, but they're going to call it episode 1 and 2.
Yeah. Yeah, who knows?
In the Prodigy tradition, right?
Yeah. Yeah, right. We'll see. But
or they could do what Doctor Who did and call it episode 0, right? You know?
Yeah. But it's been 2 years, so, you know, let's go.
It has been two years. Go. Okay. All right. Okay, fine.
Still in the Star Trek beat, there's been a bunch of stories flying around all week. I feel like I migrated from nerd journalist into business journalist, trying to follow along with the potential sale of Paramount, which of course owns the IP for all Star Trek. They're very much in play. There are multiple bidders out there. There was talk that Skydance was going to buy them, which is a big production company. They were going to buy them. There was talk that Sony had put in a bid for them. Now there's talk that another bidder has emerged that they're trying to figure out, you know, what's the best deal. Some places want to basically buy Paramount and then like parse it into little chunks, sell off real estate, do all these different things. I'm not going to bore you with all the details. Suffice to say, it'll be interesting to see what comes of this sale, because obviously this is the first time we've got, you know, Viacom has back together. That means the movie rights and the TV rights for Star Trek are in the same place, and they're clearly up for sale. What's going to happen to those rights, what it means for the future, especially if, you know, whoever acquires them isn't interested in having a Paramount Plus or merges them with something else. So could have some pretty good ramifications on how we get our Trek, what Trek we get, and, you know, how much of it we get going forward. So stay tuned. It sounds like this is going to get settled sometime in June, probably. So hopefully we'll know soon what's going to happen and whether or not we're going to get somebody who's interested in being in the Star Trek business.
Cool. All right.
And 2 good trailers this week. We got a trailer for the 3rd and theoretically final Venom movie, Venom: The Last Dance. And we also got a trailer for Alien Romulus, which is the new film, obviously, in the Alien, this would be, I think, 6, 7, 8, 9, depends if you count the Predator movies, but theoretically this could be like the 10th movie with the aliens in it.
Yeah.
So I'll give my quick impressions, and you can share yours. The Venom trailer looks like all the Venom stuff. It both looks cool and stupid. Yeah. I actually thought the first Venom movie was pretty passable. It wasn't great, but it was good. It was enjoyable. I thought the second Venom movie was laughably bad. Like it was genuinely terrible. But there was always moments. There's some funny moments. You know, I like Tom Hardy, and they did a good job with the Venom character. But this one looks pretty over the top. Lots of aliens, lots of, you know, Venom possessing different things, lots of violence. So I would say if you like Venom, you'll probably like this one. I will no interest in seeing this in the theater, but I will 100% watch it when it pops up on a streaming service for whatever my monthly fee is. And Alien Romulus.
Well, before you get there, I just want to talk about Venom.
Oh, go for it.
I haven't seen the first dance yet. But what was interesting, though, is I think I learned, just in this trailer alone, I learned a lot about the relationship between the guy who's possessed by Venom and the Venom himself or itself. So I think I kind of get the gist of it. But yeah, again, I don't know. I think you guys gave the first Venom movie such a bad review that I just never bothered watching it. So that's what it is. And I don't know. I kind of feel I have to go watch the first one before I watch this one, really. But although this did look kind of entertaining, and it reminds me a bit of like Beetlejuice, the Venom creature, right? So
yeah, it's supposed to be like the devil on your shoulder, right? You know, it's trying to push the Tom Hardy character Eddie into doing all the bad things. Right. It's funny because the first one I actually liked better, but it had a terrible villain and kind of ended with a bit of a fizzle. The second one should have had a great villain in Carnage, but was actually so over the top by Woody Harrelson. I thought it was just agonizing to watch. Yeah. This one, it seems like the bad guys are a little more nebulous again. It looks like it's like an alien invasion. Maybe these are symbiotes from Venom's homeworld or something. I'm not as excited about that. I find those kind of fights really boring. Like, villains make good superhero movies. The better the villain, the better the movie.
Yep.
Usually. So I'm not particularly excited about where this is going. Maybe there's going to be a big culminating something here, but yeah, it doesn't really knock my socks off.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's Woody Harrelson, because I mean, maybe he's our kryptonite, because I really wanted to like I love the last Planet of the Apes movie, right? But I wanted to like the one before that, but he was so horrible as the villain that I just didn't like it. I didn't like the character at all. I mean, it's not that I didn't like the character because he was an evil genius or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, someone you love to hate, or like he's so good that, you know, he deserves to be the villain, but he's just like, he's so Woody Allen. I think not Woody Allen, Woody Harrelson. Yeah. He just needs to be, you know, he just needs to be in like those, you know, the what's the Apocalypse movies that he's in with the young network guy, you know, where they're the last people the world's taken over by.
Oh, right. Yeah. I know what you mean. The
there's a couple of them already. Bill Murray was a zombie in it. Right?
Yes. I know what you mean.
Adventureland or something like that.
No, it's not Adventure. It's the other one. But yeah, I know the movie. I'll look it up.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like he's. I mean, you know, and I've sort of watched Woody's character development all along, because obviously I watched him on Cheers when he was on the show, when he was sort of came out was discovered by the world. But as a person, he's such a character that, you know, I don't know, maybe I can't separate the art from the artist, you know?
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I've not really seen very many performances where he plays a villain in a sci-fi or whatever that I'm not looking at him going, it's just Woody Harrelson, right? So
yeah.
Like your issue was, and my issue, to be honest with you, with Tom Cruise. He's always Tom Cruise, right? Yeah. In every role he's in, right? I mean, I just watched Maverick again the other day. It was on. I can't remember why I ended up watching it, but it was on the Netflix, I think. And I had started watching it. I figured I'd better finish watching it. And actually, I watched it on the Vision Pro. Like, you know how they were saying that there's no Netflix native app on Vision Pro, but if you open it in Safari and you make it big enough, I mean, I don't know. To me, it looks like it's 4K-ish. You know, so I mean, you know, so you get to watch a big, you know. So I watched Maverick in not quite IMAX, but because I saw it in the IMAX theater, that was really, really cool, especially the aviation scenes. But again, all the way through it is, you're like, stop talking. You know? I mean, when he's in the plane and he's flying, he's a character. But when he's on the ground, he's so hapless. It's please stop being Tom Cruise. You know. Anyway,
what you were fishing for was Zombieland. So that's Zombieland.
Yeah, I knew it was Adventure. I knew the land was in
there.
The
land was there. You got it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've enjoyed some of his performances in his career for sure.
We're talking about Woody now, right?
Woody, yes.
Yeah.
And okay. But I think you're right. I think he's starting to become so much larger than his characters. It can be really hard for him to sort of become those characters in the way that we kind of want him to. And that's, you know, it's that line between actor and movie star, right? He's almost into that movie star range of, oh, it's Woody Harrelson, not like, oh, that character's developed. That being said, he was in 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri about 4 or 5 years ago.
Was he the cop in that one?
He's the cop. He's the sheriff.
Yeah. That was
great in that. He was great in that. So again, I think it kind of depends on the material. I think his instructions for Carnage is supposed to be a character who's insane. You know, he's supposed to be a serial killer, sociopath, who then gets like the Venom type of a symbiont and goes on a killing spree. So I think they told him to dial it up, and he did. It just, for me, it just didn't work. So
right. Okay. Like, the trailer almost reminded me of the very first Alien movie. In fact, even when it said Alien, and then very slowly the type came up across the bottom, I thought, and the girl coming out with the gun looks like Ripley. You know, I kind of got, oh, are they doing a redo of the original? You know, Nostromo stuck in the middle of nowhere. What is this thing? And you know, don't eat the salad. It won't agree with you.
Yeah, I felt the same way. I found myself watching this thinking, oh, it's just all the tropes from Alien in another Alien movie. Now, maybe that's just trailer bait, and who knows, and maybe that's what they're trying to go for. They're trying to pull you in with like, oh, well, I like Aliens, an Alien, this will be just like that. But to me, it seemed very same-ish. So maybe we'll see more in a more fulsome trailer, that this is sort of a different type of adventure. But I think that's the problem with the Alien franchise is, once you get past the first few concepts, okay, there's one alien, you have to stop the one alien. Cool. Next one. Okay, there's a bunch of the aliens. Okay, cool. And then it's like, okay, then it's an alien loose in a prison. Then it becomes like Die Hard in a mall, right?
It's always a guy in a rubber suit too. That's the other part that gets me. Well, see, so there's the original movie, because in the original movie you never really got a good look at the alien until the very end, right? Yeah.
And that's why it's a masterpiece.
I know, but then there's a couple of other scenes that they've added where you actually see the guy in the suit, and you're like, you completely lose the whole mystery of it. Because that's the thing about it is it's usually you're looking at the actors' faces as they're coming up across this thing, and you really don't see what the horror is, right? Which is why it's such a good movie. But then again, they're wearing hockey gloves, and at one point they're dissecting the thing, and they've got oxygen masks on, which don't have an oxygen tube connected to them, right? Which in 1977, 76, that was great, but because you really weren't paying attention to that kind of detail. But it doesn't hold up for the kids, and so maybe they're they're dragging out the concept for the next generation of Aliens fans, right? So. But like you said, you mentioned the AVP stuff. Some of the Alien versus Predator stuff is amazing. Yeah,
I mean, I think it's tricky because part of, I think, the impulse of filmmakers is to do a thriller, which is the Ridley Scott type. Part of it is to do an adventure or sci-fi spectacular, which is the James Cameron route. And then part of it is to do that sort of hybridy kind of one, which is what Alien 3 was. It's just... It's hard not to seem like well-worn territory. Like, it's jump scares, it's things that lurk in the dark. When I watched this trailer, that's exactly what I got. And so maybe they're just giving people what they want, and maybe it'll be great, or maybe it'll just be same. I'm not knocked out by this one. I want to see more. I like the franchise, but like, what are you going to do for me? Again, at a certain point, it becomes, like I said, okay, it's Die Hard. Okay, it's Die Hard in an airport. Okay, it's Die Hard in a mall. Okay, it's Die Hard in okay, so there's an alien. Okay, so it's an alien in a spaceship. Okay, so it's an alien on a planet. Okay, so it's an alien. There's like 6 aliens on a planet. Okay, so it's aliens that are hybrids with animals. Okay, it's cool. Like, where are we going with this? What's the point?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and the other thing too is like it comes back to like the original concept of A New Hope, which we're calling A New Hope now, or even Alien as a movie. Close Encounters doesn't hold up in a lot of senses, but it was an interesting movie. Jaws was another one.
Yep.
They broke ground, right?
Yep.
They broke ground in terms of the sci-fi and horror genres, but the problem is now just dragging out that same old concept again. Is it really breaking ground? I mean, the thing about it is the reason why, the young kids look at Alien and they go, oh, it's a movie from the 70s, is because it doesn't hold up by what we all know today. We've got all this internet knowledge at our fingertips, and we've seen all the various things, and, kids are seeing stuff that they shouldn't be seeing in on the internet all the time. But so there's, where's the surprise? Where's the new sort of angle? Where's the it's a phone, it's a internet device, it's a music player, it's a phone, it's where's that sort of, hey, these three things have never, peanut butter and chocolate have never been put together before,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And also, I mean, I think if you tell a lot of young people to watch that movie, it's slow. It's a slow burn. It is about building the tension really slowly, which, I mean, man, no movie can afford to do that anymore, which is a shame. Like, movies need to have more air to breathe. But now it's like, you got to hook them in within the first few minutes, and then you got to hook them in here. They're all designed to work with algorithms, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah. All right, let's move on. So we've also got news today. There's going to be another another new Hunger Games novel coming next year.
Oh, novel, not just a movie.
So it's both. So they announced simultaneously they're going to do a new book. So there's a new book from Suzanne Collins called Sunrise on the Reaping, which is the second prequel to the Hunger Games series. Of course, they did the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which came out as a book and then came out as a movie. Lionsgate confirmed this week that it's going to be adapting this second one as well, and it's going to come out in 2026, so a couple more years. So, yeah, I mean, it seems like both the original author, Suzanne Collins, and the Lionsgate folks want to stay in the Hunger Games business. Mm-hmm. And I must admit, I haven't made time to watch Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes yet. I liked the Hunger Games books. I've read them all. I liked the movies. I thought they were pretty well done. They're not great, but they're really good, like really, really good.
Again, Woody Harrelson's in it.
He is, and he's actually not bad in that because he's playing a pretty understated role for the most part.
Yeah.
But so if you're a fan of all this stuff, more to come. I would be shocked if they didn't turn this into a trilogy because everything has to be a trilogy. But interesting to see what comes in the second one. But I think now I feel a little more urgency to, at some point in the next little while, watch the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes and sort of get a little bit more of that foundation.
Yeah, I don't know. Interesting concept. First movie was good.
It was. Yeah. And okay, this one I really like. I don't know if you actually took a look at this one yet. But
I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm familiar with the character too. Yeah. I mean, this particular one.
I am a sort of lifelong Star Wars fan. I have a very close to complete collection of original Star Wars figures. I only need, I think, maybe 8 of the original figures to finish off my collection. Of course, those ones are all super rare and very expensive, so I'm not sure I'll ever get there. But there is a level beyond that of, having one of each of the original ones that were just sort of released for everybody. And then there's the really niche-y stuff. And when you talk ultimate collector's items, Star Wars figures, Star Wars toys, the prize is the rocket firing Boba Fett. So
with the operating rockets,
with the operating rockets, is the only they were going to make it so that there was a spring-loaded rocket on the back of the original Boba Fett figure where you just sort of tip this little switch and the rocket launches out, and they determined...
You can poke your eye out.
Yeah, they determined that it was a safety hazard, that, the spring could launch out, kids could put this thing in their mouth, and they decided, okay, well, we're not going to do that. So for me, on my shelf, and for so many other collectors, the Boba Fett you have is just got a rocket that is glued right in there, which has always been infuriating because it looks like it should come out.
Is it glued or molded in?
No, it looks like it's a separate piece. It looks like it's glued in. I'm sure there are people who have...
There's no spring to make it,
No, there's no spring in there. It's just... I think they took the exact same prototype and they basically just glued the piece in as opposed to having it be a release. But there were some prototypes out there. So there are some out there in the world. They're exceedingly rare because they were never available for retail purchase. And one of them went up for auction last week through Heritage Auctions, which is sort of the go-to for a lot of nerdy stuff. And so the previous record for a Star Wars figure was $236,000 US for one of these rocket-firing Boba Fett's, and that was in June of 2022. At a recent auction, one of these went up for sale and sold for $525,000 US. They're making it the single most expensive Star Wars toy ever sold.
So you could have a Lamborghini or a Star Wars figure.
That is exactly what we're talking about. Now, obviously, when you talk about rate of return, if one sold, 2 years ago and this one sold for twice as much, you could argue that it's not a bad investment piece, but holy moly.
Yeah, I was going to say, does it come with a warranty or...
So it does say in here, Heritage Auctions notes that this is the single most expensive action figure or doll ever sold to. There was a Barbie previously sold for over $300,000 US that included a 1-carat diamond in it. So at least you're getting that out of that. But this apparently, it was a bidding war that got sort of escalated. And yeah, one of these collectors out there with some scratch to spend, $500,000 US for this toy. Safe to say
I
my
hope
collection.
his dog doesn't eat it.
Yeah, safe to say my collection will never be this complete.
No. Oh well.
All right,
What
want
can
to
we
dive into
say?
some.
Yeah, let's do some shows. So this week we had the premiere episodes, 2 episodes of Star Wars: The Acolyte, or is it just called The Acolyte?
Well, it's weird the way they position it because it does say Star Wars over top of it in really tiny letters. But I mean, it's inescapable. It's Star Wars. It's Star Wars: The Acolyte.
Yeah. Oh, and it's in the whole universe, and I mean, and it's supposed to have taken sometime before A New Hope, like well before.
So it's actually it's supposed to be about 100 years before the Phantom Menace. So this is during the era of the High Republic. This is supposed to be when sort of the Sith haven't been seen for a long time, and the Jedi are sort of this universal galaxy-wide police force. They're stationed on, on all kinds of different planets. They're not the military. They're more like, like peacekeeping officers.
Guardian Angels, yeah.
And
New York Guardian Angels.
This is an era in which has been explored a fair bit since they launched the sort of High Republic series of comic books, toys, all kinds of stuff over the past few years. And yeah, so there's a lot of stuff they can mine from. Some of the characters that appeared in the first 2 episodes are characters from the comic books that I've read. Although the era is a little different. It's a little bit more recent. Like some of the characters are older in the show than they are in the comics and stuff. But anyways, it's a fertile ground where the Jedi are everywhere. There are lots of them. They are diverse. There's a lot of different species throughout the galaxy who are Jedi. And yet, the whole premise of this show is that clearly there are some dark Force users out there, and it all starts happening. So I did this in the same form that we usually do our Star Trek review. So I've got our elevator pitch, I've got our pew pew, I've got our Easter eggs and such in here. So
okay.
So my elevator pitch for this one is I went for the menacing. Someone is gunning for the Jedi, and so far they've got really good aim.
Yeah. Were you the one that posted the thing on our Slack channel about the stormtroopers that go and get LASIK surgery?
Yes.
They redo A New Hope and kill everybody.
Yeah. So if you guys haven't seen this, there's a social media video that I saw and I posted on our Slack channel. You can see it there. Where the idea is that the reason why the stormtroopers are so bad at actually hitting anything is that they can't actually see. So they get this LASIK surgery, and next they reshoot Star Wars where these guys could actually aim, and so they're just killing everybody. It's really hilarious. It's basically what if Star Wars happened, but the stormtroopers could aim straight, and it gets pretty gory. But in this case, we get a really interesting sort of look because it is recognizably Star Wars.
Yeah.
It feels like Star Wars, but.
And they've also dragged out some of the props and just put another coat of paint on them or changed the color slightly because there's bits from Force Awakens in there and all that kind of stuff, right?
Absolutely.
So my elevator pitch is I was really disappointed by this revelation, which spoilers if you haven't seen it, but all I'll say is always 2 there are, a Trinity not.
Yeah, that's very Yoda.
Yes, but because I was very disappointed by, if you haven't seen the show, you won't understand the joke, but. Yeah, I thought we were looking forward to, certain people being in the show, and was disappointed by before the even title scroll. I think the title scroll. Well, no, there was a title scroll at the beginning.
Well, there was a title, but no scroll. That was kind of a weird one too.
Yeah,
they put the words up on the screen, but it wasn't actually a crawl. It just sort of the words sort of showed up and they're gone.
Yeah, no, but you know what I'm talking about, the hunt for the Jedi, as it were.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so
like, did we know? We didn't know that was going to happen because we kind of, in the trailer, they kind of make it look like this particular character is going to last, right?
Yeah. So we're just going to say this one more time. We're going to get into it. We're going to talk about the first 2 episodes. There's going to be spoilers. So if you haven't watched it yet, go watch it. Come back. We want to have a conversation with you, but you can't talk about this without being spoiled. And that is that Trinity, Tim's excellent joke from The Matrix, is in the first opening scene of this and dies. Carrie-Anne Moss, who was part of the branding, was on the posters, was like everything that was out there was Carrie-Anne Moss is going to be in a Star Wars series, and she is dead within the first 5 minutes of the first show.
Yeah.
But it was a pretty cool
she might be
opening
in flashbacks, or maybe they'll cremate her and put her in an ashtray.
I think they have to do a flashback at some point because they have to explain the larger story, mystery, right? We've introduced all these Jedi, and there's this looming mystery of, first, someone is targeting the Jedi. So we see it happen. We see this big fight between this masked Dark Force user and this Jedi, and it results in the Jedi dying. And then we sort of pick up the story as the Jedi are investigating what's going on. How did this person die? What happened? And as we sort of go through the first episode, we sort of realize that there's this sort of mystery of why would somebody target the Jedi? We get it by the time we get into episode 2, it starts to crystallize. Okay, clearly something happened in the past that someone wants revenge for. What it is, what happened, how it happened, all that stuff. That's all still a mystery to us, even after 2 episodes.
Yeah, but there is the wrongly accused main character who gets put on a transport, being taken to jail, and there's an escape.
Yeah,
such a new, fresh approach to this. The storyline.
Well, without our nods to the past, how would we know that it was Star Trek?
Yeah,
Star Wars, rather. So yeah, it was. I had it in my mind. I'll be honest. I mean, I'm just going to sound like such a BS thing, but I did think to myself it would be a huge power move if they killed off one of the recognizable characters. I did not think they were going to do it that soon. I just thought, well, the nice thing about these prequel stories is that they aren't beholden, and that's I don't generally like prequels. You've heard me talk about it numerous times on this pod. I have a trouble with prequels because of the whole, it'll really mess up with future continuity because they've gone 100 years back, and because we don't have a lot of ties to these characters, although some of us who are reading the backstory stuff have a little bit more. You can do this stuff. You can introduce an A-list actor in a key role and kill them off. And so, yeah, kudos to them for being like, you think you know what this is. It's not.
Even the second Jedi Master got a pretty cool grasp on the Force.
Yeah.
And he gets taken out really easily too, right?
Yeah. So I do like what they're trying to do as far as sort of disrupting your expectations and going somewhere different. So I'll give them absolute bonus marks for, setting us up for pulling the rug out from under us within the first few minutes of the first show, so that it throws you off guard, because then you're like, well, if they're going to kill Carrie-Anne Moss in 5 minutes, then what are they going to do? And that's why it works, right?
Right. Yeah.
So it's it definitely sort of moves from there. So I had that as my best pew 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 too, was the fight. I thought that that was the best sort of action bit. It was kind of what you expect too. This is a Jedi, I think they say master, and she is very powerful in the Force, and so the fight almost seems very lopsided, but then it sort of turns. And we've heard it said by the Sith before, the weakness of the Jedi is they're caring for others. You're
right.
If you're caring about other people, you won't always care about yourself. And so at one point, the assassin, who we don't know who it is at that point, throws a knife towards an innocent person. The Jedi uses the Force to stop the knife, but then doesn't have the focus on stopping the knife that's headed towards her simultaneously. And then that's that.
Right.
And so, using the Jedi's weaknesses, quote unquote weaknesses, of course, caring for other people is not a weakness, but it's being exploited like that. But I thought that bar fight was really well done. It definitely talks, because there is a bit of a cockiness, a hubris to the Jedi that doesn't always get called out, other than the Sith calling it out, right?
Well, but by the same token, though, I mean, it was really difficult to take out Qui-Gon Jinn. It was really difficult to take out Obi-Wan Kenobi. It was really difficult to take out Mace Windu. So, but yeah, it was disappointing how easy it was to get the Carrie-Anne Moss character, Indrana, or whatever her name was.
Indara, I think it was Master Indara, I think what they called her. Yeah. So, yeah. So, again, good start. It definitely sort of catches you off guard. So that's the opening scene. And then we sort of try and figure out from there, okay, so, this dead Jedi. And then we cut to seeing a character who, by all of our understanding, looks like the killer, is on this spaceship. And you're like, well, is this like before? Is this, the next day? What are we looking at here? You're just trying to get the lay of the land. And, this person's working as a mechanic, kind of doing grunt work. And then the Jedi show up and the Jedi are like, yeah, somebody fitting your description murdered someone the other day. We're taking you in. And it turns into this, falsely accused kind of, she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And and we get to introduce to some of these new characters. So that's Osha. We get to meet Osha. We get to meet her droid Pip. We get to meet Yord Fandor, the very handsome, kind of definitely aloof and cocky Jedi. And Taziloa is his Padawan. And we find out through this sort of interaction that Osha was actually they say Jedi, but it sounds like she was more of a Padawan who left the order. But again, we don't necessarily know what the circumstances are there. And we still don't know after the second episode either. We find out that Indara urged Osha be kicked out of the order. So there's a grudge there. So we know that why that might be a big deal. And then... yeah, you mentioned the jailbreak, and then so they're going to bring her in for, questioning. There's a jailbreak, and then there's a crash landing, and it turns out that her former master is a Jedi named Saul, and so Saul gets dispatched along with his Padawan, who's Jeki, and Yord are sent to basically go gather her up and bring her in. They end up bringing her in, and during all this, we're sort of getting little glimpses. We're getting flashbacks, right? We're getting this, the mystery is starting to get a little clearer for us of Osha starts having visions, and she has this vision where she sees herself, but evil, and then we realize, oh, she's actually a twin. And everyone thought her twin was dead, but it turns out not so much. So now we know that
the twin shots thought she was dead too. So which is kind of an interesting twist.
Yeah. So we've got now we've got this, what do they call it in the new trilogy? Dyad, the two Force users that are connected, you mean like
Rey
and Kylo.
Yeah, Kylo Ren, yeah.
So these are people who are connected through the Force, in this case, because they're both Force sensitive because they were twins. But, so we basically, the first episode sort of wraps up with, us seeing that there is Osha's not the killer, but somebody's killing Jedi who looks just like her. It's her sister. And then we end up with May meeting with what looks an awful lot like a Sith Lord.
Yeah. With a red laser, with a red lightsaber.
So this is somebody who's got some skills, right?
Yeah. I noticed too that the Nouveau lightsabers were yellow, right? They weren't blue or.
Well, Jord's is yellow. The only other time, so it's canon in the comics and the cartoons that yellow is the lightsaber crystal of the Temple Guards. But also some other Jedi, including Rey at the end of the last Skywalker, she has a yellow crystal. So there are yellow crystals out there. We just really haven't seen them as much. They're not as common.
Right, okay.
So circling back to finish off episode 1, I only got a couple Easter eggs. Obviously, the Trade Federation and the Nemoidians. Yeah. We hadn't seen them in a minute. It's probably best if we didn't. There's even in this era, they're weasels. So that was kind of an interesting callback. And then when she's talking with her coworker on the outside of the ship, she mentions that she was partying away on Narshada. Narshada is called the Smuggler's Moon, and that's a recurring site through the larger Star Wars canon. It hasn't really shown up on the shows, but in the comics, in the books and stuff like that, Nar Shaddaa gets called out a lot as this like hub of villainy and sort of ne'er-do-wellism.
Scum and villainy.
Scum and villainy. That's the one, right? Picture a giant Mos Eisley. That's what Nar Shaddaa is. So that was interesting to hear. Again, just a nice little throw in. So that's the epitome
of course,
of an
they had to have the cantina scene at the beginning too, with all the strange aliens in the bar, right?
Of course they did.
Yeah. Sort of a trope too, as well.
Yeah. Did you have any other Easter eggs or?
I had one, but it just escaped me a second ago. But I mean, Dave on our Dave Price pointed out that there were a lot of the wipes that reminded him of A New Hope. And
that was a good catch. Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so I guess the sort of the crawl that isn't a crawl was kind of one as well, because it definitely felt like.
Well, we've established that with Rogue One, where they didn't do it's a Star Wars story, but it doesn't have the trappings of one of the episodes, sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
So I do have a question though. So this is the scene is that everybody she foolishly helps one of the people escape, and they take off in all the escape pods.
The prisoners,
in the breakout, right? So she's stuck on the ship, which is now crashing. I thought it was really cool that they had droids flying the ship, and they just disabled the droids and ship's going to crash. But so she ties herself to a seat or a bulkhead or something like that, right? And then we see her wake up not attached to anything.
Yeah, she's clearly like gone flying, as opposed to like flying through the window.
Well, exactly, but she strapped herself in, like
Yep.
Anyway.
Yep. The quotes. I had May. So this is the assassin May, or the Acolyte, I guess. A Jedi doesn't draw her weapon unless she plans to kill, when she's talking to Master Indar at the beginning of the fight. Interesting line, because obviously that speaks to an ideology that's, like, obviously I don't think that's what we think of the Jedi, or we're not supposed to think of the Jedi, but that's what she's been taught to think of the Jedi. Interesting. From Soul, May is dead, I saw her die, and then Osha responds, May is alive. That was really good.
Right.
But the best quote was the quote at the end from the, I put Sith quote, Sith question mark, because I think we assume it's a Sith, but you never know how they're going to determine these things. The Jedi live in a dream they believe everyone shares. If you attack a Jedi with a weapon, you will fail. Steel or laser are no threat to them. But an acolyte kills without a weapon. An acolyte kills the dream. Very menacing, cool little speech that sort of sets the stage for, why they're doing the things they're doing. One of the other things that I didn't mention we did see during the fight with Indara, May makes several plays to steal Indara's lightsaber.
Yeah.
And then we see that play out again in episode 2. That they want to take a lightsaber. Now, one thing we know about the Sith through all continuity is that the way that Sith get their lightsaber crystals is to kill a Jedi, take their lightsaber, and corrupt the crystal. That's what makes them red. There are no naturally occurring red crystals. They're only red because they've been corrupted by the dark side. So I wonder if what we're seeing here is the sort of seeing that play out in a way we haven't seen before, which is this Acolyte is trying to get their lightsabers so they can have their red lightsaber.
Yeah, well, there was also General Grievous always tried to capture people's lightsabers, right? Because he had them on his belt, right?
He did, but he was not a Sith, right? He was a Force sensitive, but he was. I think the idea there is that he was just like kind of almost doing it in a taunting fashion of like, I've killed you, and
hanging the bear claws around his neck, kind of thing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Whereas I think in this case, I think the idea is it's beyond trophy. It's like it's almost that. It's
insulting the lightsaber.
Yeah, and it's insulting the memory of the Jedi to say, like, I not only did I take your lightsaber, I took your crystal, and we established in the Clone Wars, we established in previous canon that these crystals, they're not just something that you find in the ground. They actually have a connection through the Force to the Force user. So these are very special connection between the wand chooses the wizard, the crystal chooses the Jedi or the Padawan. So taking that and turning it to the dark side is just as offensive or more so as killing someone, right? I put for my big question for this episode just who is the Sith? Any initial guesses? I didn't really have any coming out of the first episode. It was a solid first episode, but there really weren't enough clues. I do have some theories, and we'll jump to episode 2, and I can start throwing some of them out there because I think I have a theory that might work. But yeah. Anything else on episode 1, or are you ready to move on to 2?
No, I'm ready to move on to episode 2.
All right.
I'm ready to move on to episode 3, actually. Let's do that.
So this is episode 2, Revenge/Justice. Each episode seems to have this sort of duality to it, just like we talked about, obviously, the duality between May and Osha. So the first one's called Lost/Found, and the second one is called Revenge/Justice. Again, it depends on your perspective. Both these things depend on your perspective. So my elevator pitch for this one was simply 2 down, 2 to go.
Yeah, 2 to go, yeah.
So, you know, we know Master and Dara got it in the first one. The second episode basically follows now May, who we know is the sister who is the assassin/acolyte, as she tries to take out the second of 4 Jedi that she's identified that she wants revenge on. It's the what's the revenge for that's the big mystery that remains. We know what's happening. We don't know why it's happening.
Right. And there's some sort of attitude towards the Jedi too, right?
Yeah, something that goes beyond. But then again, having seen the Sith, it could be that she was, you know, taught and or mentored a certain way, or it could be, you know, she was already feeling that hate. Of course, that's what the Sith do the best. They take advantage of your emotions, your hate, and they focus it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Did you have an elevator pitch for this one?
I'm trying to remember what this one was about. This is the one with the apothecary, right?
Yeah. So basically, this all happens on a planet where there's a Jedi outpost. We see May goes in, tries to take out this one Jedi who you mentioned is his name is Master Torben, and Torben is in this sort of meditative state. They mention in here it's called a Barash vow. They mentioned later in the episode, and the idea is that when he's in this state, he basically creates a force bubble around himself. And he can't be attacked. He can't be hurt. Nothing can sort of stop him. He's just in this place to the point where he's been apparently in it for 10 years and hasn't spoken in that time. He's just been in this state.
How does he poop?
I mean, maybe the Force eats it. Midichlorians? I don't know. I think we could go down a really dark side road here. I don't know.
That's why he's got a really long robe on, I guess. I don't know.
Well, his hair is pretty long in it too, so I don't know.
Maybe he's like suspended in midair by a big pile of poop.
It's invisible. You just can't see it. That's why he's sitting up so high.
Yes.
Yeah, he's actually, when he's in his cross-legged pose, he's actually floating because he's got this force bubble around him. But yeah, so basically, as the episode plays out, we get introduced to a couple more characters. We find out that, May has an accomplice, somebody named Khmer, who is Manny Jacinto from The Good Place, with a funky mustache.
Oh, that's who he was. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. He was he was the moron, the lovable moron on The Good Place, but he is theoretically aiding us. So we see May go in, she tries to take out this Jedi Master, fails, and then goes to this apothecary, where we find out that this is not like where this person works. They basically have taken over this place, and this person makes a vial of poison. Khmer makes a vial of poison and gives it to May. And I was thinking to myself, when he makes this poison for her and he gives it to her, I'm thinking, well, if she can't get near him, how's she going to get the poison to work? And then we get the answer, which is she basically walks in, starts talking to this Jedi Master, and the Jedi Master commits suicide, which I mean, you can argue that Obi-Wan Kenobi kind of committed suicide when he let Darth Vader kill him, but it's not something that's come up a lot.
Well, so I kind of wondered, I thought like he was an alcoholic or whatever, and she was tempting him with, a shot or whatever,
No, they say later in the episode.
Why would he drink it if he knew it was poison?
Well, I think because of the guilt of whatever the mystery is. I think we'll learn more as we go. But that was my impression. Was so later on when they find the dead Jedi Master, they realize that the poison was actually, I think they said it was called Buntu, and it's from the planet that May comes from, and so they know that it's because Osha and May come from, and so they know that he was poisoned. But why he sees May, knows that it's her, and she basically says, you have two choices. You can either drink this poison, or I'm just going to tell everybody what you did. And so he takes the poison. So again, it deepens that mystery of why? What
was so bad that he did that he feels guilty about?
What could four Jedi have done that is so bad? Now, we did get in the first episode and more in the second episode. We know that Osha was supposed to be the last survivor of her family. There was this major fire. This fire theoretically killed everybody. We also get allusions to the fact that maybe May started the fire. So there are these pieces that are starting to come together a little bit, but after two episodes, that's the two big mysteries are what happened that May wants revenge for, and also who is the Sith that is using her to do these things. So the Jedi show up on this planet. They get there, of course, just in the nick of too late, and they come in, the guy's dead, they're trying to figure it out. They end up basically putting a sting on Khmer, where they basically go in, talk to him, and he's like, oh, I just work here, I don't know what you're talking about. And
such a bad job of Usha trying to be May. And
you look just like her. Hi. Yeah, definitely right on vibe.
Hey, the potion worked or whatever. I can't believe you did such a good job. He could have said anything else.
Well, and he does confess, right? He's like, did the poison work? So then it's basically okay. We have the conflict. So May shows up. We have May versus Saul, good fight. She basically is, overwhelmed. So she basically does, the throw the sand in the eyes trick, but with a lightsaber. She makes a smoke screen, disappears. We do finally get Osha and May seeing each other, so they know each other are alive. And then we basically cut to Kofar, which is a sort of a jungle world, and we see just at the very end of the episode, we see a Kelnaka, who is the third of the four Jedi that were stationed on May and Osha's planet. And this is obviously where we're going next. Will be a May versus Kelnaka incident of some kind. Whether Kelnaka survives this, I don't know, but yeah.
He had the sort of shaved head thing that
he did. He had that was very weird. It was top very bun. Weird. Yeah, he had the top knot kind of thing. Yeah, interesting look. So my best pew 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 was the Saul versus May fight. We see again that sort of cockiness that Saul is very not going on the attack, very defensive, but unlike the fight with Indara, Indara, he recognizes that there is a danger and disarms, takes away all the little throwing knives and stuff away from May, so she can't pull that trick on him.
Right.
And then, basically the only way she gets out of it is the fact that she creates this distraction with the creating a dust storm.
She's got the ship is pointing guns at her, and Yord has his lightsaber out, so she's outnumbered.
Yep. But somehow still gets away. Three Jedi, or two Jedi, a Padawan, a Master, a Knight, a Padawan, and a dropout, and she still gets away. So she's smart and she's powerful. So that's interesting. Easter eggs. There's a couple in this one. So Kelnaka the Wookiee is played by Eunice Sulamo. Sulama is the same actor who has taken over for Peter Mayhew playing Chewbacca. So he is a very, very tall Finnish man, and he has played Chewbacca in the last two Star Wars movies. Little cameo from somebody who's from the quote unquote main cast now. And the best Easter egg, of course, is Yord. I have a bad feeling about this, a classic Star Wars line getting thrown out there in that one as well. Any other Easter eggs from you?
No, I mean it's full of Star Wars tropes, but yeah,
for sure.
No, nothing stands out.
Yeah. They said, what? Some quotes. You have misunderstood the Jedi arts. Your master has failed you, from Saul. Good line. I really like that one. That was the one that really stood out to me. But for me, this one is the big question. So after 2 episodes, I found myself thinking, okay, Sith hide in plain sight.
Yeah.
This is what we learned from Palpatine. They don't have to, walk around with twirling their mustaches. They do their work both in front of your face and behind the scenes. So as I was thinking about the way the Sith work, and particularly at one point when Kamir is talking with May, he says the line, "Peace is a lie." And peace is a lie is part of the Sith oath, which you can look up.
Which one is Kamir?
Kamir is the guy who takes over the apothecary. He's the guy who makes the poison. So the Manu Jacinto character.
Okay. Right. Okay.
And so he at one point he says, "Oh, he'll be so pleased," theoretically referring to their collective master. But as you pointed out, both intentionally and unintentionally, Tim, why would there be 3 of them? So it made me think maybe he's the Sith. Because he's playing this, he's kind of playing dumb. Oh, I just work here. I don't know nothing from nothing. But he clearly knows a lot of what's going on. He knows May. He knows part of the Sith oath. So the question is he another acolyte? Is he part of a larger sort of conspiracy? Or is he this mysterious masked?
Well, he does seem to be coaching. He's coaching her along because he knows that she's got this mission to try and kill a Jedi without using a weapon, right? So
and so the question is, is this the mastermind, right? Or is this somebody else who's just a piece of the puzzle? To me, this is where you sort of separate the storytelling from the reality. If you're going to cast Manu Jacinto, who is just on a hit sitcom for a number of years and is a pretty darn good actor, it seems like it would be weird to have him just sort of play this guy, and not have a bigger role. But I'm really curious to find out if this hunch is kind of true. I did look it up because I thought I tweaked when I heard that line, and I looked it up, and there's tons of people online who are making that speculation that maybe Kamir is more than what he appears to be. So I guess my question for you, and the big question is, this is the first time we've been in the High Republic era. This is the first time we've sort of encountered this part of Star Wars history. And, it's tied into, so we're kind of learning the ropes as we go through this, but we're also really kind of in some uncharted territory. And new show, new concept, not really tied to the Skywalker saga or any of that kind of stuff. Did you like it? Are you happy with what we've gotten for the first 2 episodes?
Yeah, definitely. I really enjoyed this, like it's approachable. It was nice. It's got the Jedi swagger going for it. It's a bit odd because it's kind of like they kind of allude to the fact that some of these Jedi precincts, let's call it, some of them are like Barney Miller precincts, and some of them are like the head office precinct, and because obviously the dudes that are up at in Coruscant are going to be the higher, more successful Jedis, right?
Well, and we get a hint of that bureaucracy, right? We get a hint. At one point, Saul calls back and he's like, "Hey, I think we should continue investigating this." And they're like, "No, we don't do that. We've got a procedure. We've got a process." And you get that sense, that larger sense that we know from the later era where the Jedi clearly kind of have their head in the sand on some of this stuff, right?
Yeah. But there was also the one comment that the one Jedi from the Outer Rim, because I mentioned the Outer Rim, of course, right? Which is like Scarborough, I think, right? But they, sorry, Keen. No, he's in Whitby actually, which is even further out, right? But he mentions, about kind of like, our little precinct here. He didn't use the word precinct, but I got the impression that
our little outpost.
That's where they send the ones that aren't as skilled as Yord. Let's put it that way.
Sure. Yeah.
Because what's the young lady, a young Jedi with the
Jecki.
Jackie, yeah, because at one point when Saul is saying, "Come on, we're going to assemble a team," she says, "You're not going to take Yord, are you?"
Yeah, he's just so Yord.
He's so Yord, and he is very Yord.
He is very Yord. Yeah, I found myself thinking as we were going through this, because obviously, again, the benefit of working in this era is nothing's sacrosanct. You can kind of do pretty big stuff. So all of these people's heads are on the block, and that's good. That means that there are stakes, right? The thing that might make this work in the same way that Rogue One worked is that you can set up characters, make you like them, and then kill them off if you choose.
Sure.
I think Yord's got a target on his forehead the size of a bazooka. Like that guy is screaming, "Oh, I didn't see that coming!" and getting.
But then, Yurkel, he's going to be like the Yurkel for this show. Who knows, right?
Who knows? But I mean, Jecki seems like she's quite shrewd and a smart character. Jecki, incidentally, played by Daphne Keane. Daphne Keane was the young woman who was in the Logan movie, the last Wolverine movie, when she was 9 years old.
The young kid, the kid. Really?
Who knocked our socks off in that one. I mean, she was tremendous as a child performer in that one. Now she's, I think, she's got to be in her late teens. So yeah, really cool to see her in there. A little unrecognizable, but at the same time, she's got chops. The reason I asked you about what you thought about it is there has been, and I posted this link in here, there have been some pretty negative responses to this so far. Not from critics. The critical review's been quite good. I think it's got 93% on Rotten Tomatoes on the critical side right now. And from some of the stuff that I've, taken a chance to look at, it seems like thing is being reviewed by professionals quite positively. Now, on the
Star Wars fans suck. I can tell you, that's my position on it.
Well, and that's the problem is that there is a certain contingent of Star Wars fans, and yeah, I get it. Like Star Wars stories,
come on,
can be divisive, but the thing that people seem to be really railing against is the wokeness, the political correctness, more female characters, more representation of people of color, queerness, all these different things. That seems to really rankle a certain segment of the Star Wars fandom. I will immediately say F those people. But they have spent the week carpet bombing negative reviews out there to drive down the
They're trying to make Star Wars great again. Is that what they're doing?
I believe that is the sentiment. They think that this is the way to accomplish this. I would like to think that this won't be successful, but just to show you the huge disparity. So right now it's 93% critic score for The Acolyte on Rotten Tomatoes. It's 32% audience score. That is the lowest.
Wow, that's such a horrible.
That is the lowest Star Wars audience score of all time. And as there's an article in here, and we'll share the link. It's to an article from Screen Rant. They did a great job breaking down sort of how this has been happening for a lot of different Star Wars properties, but this is the worst example of it. They did do this for Ahsoka as well. They've done it for some of the other series. Again, I get it. Star Wars isn't perfect. They've made a lot of mistakes. There have been some bad stuff. I am certainly someone who has been critical of the stuff I don't like about it as well. However, mine is not based on, political agenda or, personal ideology. Mine is more of storytelling quality kind of perspective, I hope. But to have people just come in and do this, Screen Rant's article is very smart in the way that it's written, because it basically points out it's a story by Thomas Bacon. He pointed out the problem with these idiots doing this and trying to negatively put these reviews in. What they're basically doing is just putting in a synopsis. They're just copy pasting a synopsis, and they're creating all kinds of new accounts so they can do this and review bombing.
They're using an algorithm, carpet bombing or whatever.
100%. And so in doing this, the problem is that you can't tell genuinely what people think about it unless you actually go onto some message boards and take a look at what the discourse is. I did do that. I went onto Reddit. I went onto some of the other message boards. I went onto some of the comment threads on some of the stuff. It seems like the people who are earnestly interested in this are interested in this. They want to know what the mystery is. They want to know. They're interested by some of the stuff that's happened. There are some legitimate criticisms. I have them too. I think the pacing of this is a little weird. I think it's a little joyless. It's not like part of Star Wars that I've always enjoyed is that there's a little bit of a wink and a nod and a humor to it. This so far has been, other than that line, like, Yord is just so Yord, that's like the only joke in 2 episodes. It's really dry.
Yeah.
So again, I think there are some legitimate things you could say that you'd like to see, done differently. But these people aren't doing that. They're just like, oh, I don't like the fact that, like, the lead is this, tremendous Asian actor. We don't like it because, this character's black. Like, it's just absurd. And I just don't have any patience for any of that kind of stuff. If you want to be part of the conversation and you want to talk about what you genuinely don't like that isn't racist, sexist, homophobic, or otherwise, let's talk. Otherwise, go away. But unfortunately, that is the reality where we're at, is that, Star Wars is a beloved franchise and some people feel like they're entitled or, that they should have a say on what it's, what's inside it. Leslie Headland, who is the showrunner, is queer. Like, so they want to, target that and say, well, she's got an agenda. Like, well, yeah, she should have an agenda. She should want to see representation of a whole spectrum of people that are underrepresented. Like, that's fine. But again, not everybody agrees with that. And, so you get circumstances like this, which are really unfortunate. I'll be curious to see how the real discourse continues as we, hopefully get what seems to be a pretty promising concept and so far execution of a Star Wars series.
Yep.
But those people.
Yeah, it was the black versus white thing in the early days. I mean, as I grew up, it was the women.
Yep.
Women's liberation.
Yep.
And then when I was in university, it was gay culture, and I mean, it's just we just moved it online. That's all.
Yep. All right. Well, I think we're off to a good start. I really look forward to hearing what Jaime has to say about this when he rejoins us next week, and see when we're getting into it. It's, all things being equal, it's pretty quick. It'll be over by mid-July. I think. It's not a super long series. They did give us the 2 first episodes at once, which is good, because I don't think I would have been very happy if I just got to the end of the first episode. But now we're going week to week, so every Wednesday. Stay tuned to some Spockcast / Jedi Cast, and we'll be back for more. Got a couple more things for us to talk about. You want to do Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, or Doctor Who first?
We can do Furiosa. That's fine. We'll do it in the order you got it here.
All right. So again, we'll try not to get too spoilery, but we're probably going to get a little spoilery. So if you haven't seen Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, Tim and I went and saw it last week along with Number One Fan, and we talked about it just a tiny bit. I think we kind of saved our powder for this venue. But what did you think of Furiosa?
Well, that was okay. I mean, it's a bit, the whole franchise, or as it's become, is a bit like The Walking Dead, where it's just, constant, vehicular manslaughter and things like that, and women's slaughter too, I guess. But I mean, I think the evolution of Furiosa was a little weird. I mean, I like the younger actor more than I liked Anya Taylor-Joy.
Yeah.
I don't know. And Charlize Theron owned that role, right? So it was kind of hard to sort of see that happen, but I also found it was very sort of, I want to say bipolar, but it wasn't bipolar, it's tripolar, the society they live in. Because my first question was, it's all about the bullets, the food, and the gas. And my question about Mad Max as a franchise has always been, where do you get those from? And well, it turns out that's exactly what this movie was about, right? And it's nothing. It was almost like a video game setup from the point of view of these are the three tiers, and they kind of cooperate with each other. And meanwhile, there's all these marauders who attack them. It's almost like the Pony Express and the wagon trails, through country western or western movies, where they're trying to move across the land and settle, and then people are, or even Dick Turpin, kind of like in the woods of England, the highwaymen, kind of robbing people, right? So been there, done that. I mean, I suppose that from that point of view, I mean, it does blow up pretty good. It's a good popcorn movie from that point of view.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I buy into the need to go see this in the theater. Really, I mean, and I haven't seen. I never did, unlike you and Mike. I didn't see the first one in the theater either. So
yeah, I mean the first one. Yeah, one of my closest friends and I went to see it in the theater, kind of on a whim. I'm not a huge fan of the original 3 Mad Max films. I actually really don't care for them. I have seen them all. I've seen them multiple times because they were ubiquitous with being a child and teenager in the era in which they came out. But they never really did anything for me. I was not a fan of that whole world. But we decided just, you know what? This looks like it blows up good. Let's go see it. And we were blown away by Fury Road.
On the good thing you can say about the first 3 Mad Max movies is they weren't Waterworld.
No, they certainly weren't. They were more the opposite of that. But yeah, they just, I don't know. That version of dystopia, the whole, lawlessness, tribalism stuff didn't really resonate with me. It wasn't great. And the whole, Mad Max is this sort of silent, barely speaks kind of character. Again, didn't really resonate, especially in an era when you think about when those movies came out, the best or the sort of more focused heroes from movies were, Axel Foley from Beverly Hills Cop, who's a funny, chatty, talky guy, Bruce Willis in Die Hard, like all these movies that had these like funny, quippy kind of characters. So when Max was just like, staring blankly into the camera, I was like, this is not for me. We saw Fury Road, loved it. I thought it was fantastic. And Charlize Theron, I mean, she was like, that was an Oscar-worthy performance. Like, she was tremendous in that first one. And you're right, she really did own that character and stole the movie. I mean, frankly, like, she was the best part of that movie. This one I was interested in. I do like Anya Taylor-Joy very much. I've seen her in a bunch of different things, really enjoy her as a performer, and so was kind of curious to see what they would do. I was surprised at how linear and how straightforward a prequel it was. Like, it literally starts with where you think, which is like she leaves the place where, the green place. She leaves this great place where she's happy with her family. She's taken away. She ends up in this world where we intersect with all these different characters, and we sort of overlap with some of the characters from Fury Road. And, again, spoilers, but by the end of the movie, it basically teased right up to where we start Mad Max Fury Road. So there weren't a lot of beats that were unexpected. And I think that was a bit of a disappointment for me. Like, it kind of went everywhere I thought it would. Mm-hmm. But it didn't take me to a lot of places I didn't, except for the Chris Hemsworth character.
Oh, we can't, sorry, I take it all back. He was amazing in that role. So
he plays Dementus, who is sort of this fourth warlord. So, when Furiosa is kidnapped and taken away, the idea is that they want to sort of take her as evidence that there's this great place with, food and a place of great abundance, they say. And, she sort of becomes this pawn for the first half of the movie when she's a child. And I just wanted to shout out, so the young woman who played young Furiosa's Alia Brown. She's an Estonian/Australian actress. She's, I think, 14 or 15 years old. And she was great. She was really, really good. Like, as good, you're right, or better than Anya Taylor-Joy. Especially because Anya Taylor-Joy has very little dialogue in this movie. It's a lot of facial acting. Yeah. But when she gets taken, she ends up getting into this sort of camp with Chris Hemsworth's character Dementus, and so it's Hemsworth at his most charming, but in a villainous way. He plays this swaggering, swarthy, hilarious, over the top villain, and he's great. He makes the movie 100%. And so it starts off with, him sort of amassing power. He's absorbing other gangs. He's sort of becoming the sort of, King Rooster in the Roost. And then he comes to what we now know is, the darker world of the actual from Fury Road, where, we run into the War Boys, we run into, the Bullet Factory, we run into, all these characters. And, then it becomes basically villain versus villain for the power, who's going to control these different things, who controls the gasoline, who controls the bullets, who controls the food. Because if you control even one of those things, you're really on your way in this world. And so he was great. He was really fun. But he kind of steals the show in the same way that Furiosa stole it from Mad Max. It really has come almost the Dementis movie, because he kind of becomes this like larger than life character. He's got these grand aspirations. He's taking things over. He's fighting everybody. And then it kind of boils down to, Furiosa versus Dementis in the end. I think my view on it is probably more positive than yours. I liked it in that I really think George Miller's got an eye for action set pieces. Some of the the scenes with the war rigs, some of the scenes with the attack on Gas Town and the attack on the Bullet Factory, the scene where basically they go to attack the main fortress that is from Mad Max Fury Road, and the War Boys are willingly throwing themselves with explosives off the top to kill them. Like, some of that stuff is really, really well done and well made. But if we're going to wait long stretches, it's been 9 years since Fury Road came out. I understand these take a long time to make, and I understand that obviously, George Miller's an artist. He's not a machine. He's not AI. He doesn't just, get fed in, put in Mad Max and come see what comes out. But I don't know how many more of these movies, George is in his 80s. I hope he has a lot of time left in him. I hope he has a lot of creativity left in him. I hope he wants to do more. He's already talked about wanting to do another movie that is more focused on Max to sort of round out this second trilogy. I hope that we get that. But I feel like that's my only thought on this one. Was I love the character Furiosa. I loved it played by Charlize Theron. I thought that the two women that did the role this time were good, but I don't know that it really serviced the larger story, quite as well as maybe it could. I'm also really curious. I read a fascinating piece the other day about what happened with Mad Max, because George Miller, the creator / director of Mad Max, owns the rights. No studio owns the rights. He owns the rights. And I was like, why did that happen? And it turns out it was because of a lawsuit where he was fired from working on a movie, and he sued the studio and basically said, like, I was wrongfully dismissed. And when they went to settle it, he said, as part of the settlement, I want the rights to Mad Max. And they were like, okay. So he himself, and it's very uncommon. I mean, we talk about like the people that are tied to their legacies, like Lucas owned Star Wars, and that was an aberration. But Miller is kind of the last person who owns his IP like that. And so I'm curious to see where this franchise goes, in that, this is the 5th movie in the Mad Max universe. He wants to make at least one more. He is an older gentleman. I wonder if we're going to get many more of these. And then I really wonder what's going to happen with the rights to this character. Are we going to see a bunch more Mad Max movies in our lifetime, or was this it? But all things being equal, I think it's totally worth a watch. I do think that it blows up pretty good. If you want to go see something blow up pretty good in a movie theater, it blows up really good. We saw it in the IMAX theater here in Mississauga. It was loud as hell. It was really loud in there. So if you're into that, go see it. If not, I don't think it'll be quite as good on a home screen. Although, if you've got a great setup at home, maybe it'll be just as good. But I think it's worth it. I saw the results. The box office has been pretty underwhelming for this. It hasn't really done great business, which is, again, a bit of a shame because...
Well, it's up against a cartoon. Garfield, I think?
Oh, yes, it was. It was against Garfield. And then I think next week is like Despicable Me 4 comes out, so that'll be another one. But yeah, it didn't really do gangbusters. Now, I don't think Fury Road did gangbusters off the hop, too. I think that one gained steam over a few weeks because people were talking about it. But yeah, that's the other question, is if this one doesn't make a lot of money back and it doesn't do particularly well, again, is this the end of the Mad Max stuff for a while? That would be very disappointing, because I think particularly these new versions, I think, really have a vision and a uniqueness to them that nobody else is really doing. So,
right.
All right, well, Doctor Who.
Doctor Who?
Who?
You mean Doctor Who?
No, that's a different thing. This one was weird. It was really weird.
Okay.
So this was the episode, what was it called? Dot and Bubble?
Yeah.
The concept loosely was there are people who are so obsessed with social media that they can't see their own demise coming. Pretty thin metaphor, but essentially these young people, all in their teens, 20s, are living on this planet. They work short shifts and they spend all their time on social media. And meanwhile, there are these nasties from the woods that have snuck into town and are eating the people. In their world, the social media is a little different than ours in that, and unlike with us, where you can actually put the phone down, they put these bubbles around their heads, and the bubbles theoretically are impairing their ability to do anything. At one point, we established one of the characters can't even walk a straight line without being told what to do by the bubble. It was and so again, spoilers for this episode if you haven't seen it. We're going to talk a little bit about it, but I thought the way the story played out, where the Doctor and Ruby are trying very hard from afar to save these people, and in the end they don't want to be saved, was an unusual way to wrap the metaphor.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is the idea that these people are supposed to be representing like millennials or Gen Zs, maybe millennials, and that they're so busy being focused on their own thing that they can't see their own demise coming? Because that doesn't seem right. I'd say they're much more aware of the problems around them than I would say people of my generation or your generation are.
That's part of the sort of the idea, is that, you know, people are thinking that people of a certain age are thinking that, this remote working from home, constantly being online. Well, like you, I don't spend the week like you and Jaime do, combing through all the Reddit feeds and all that kind of stuff, reading about what people think about Star Wars and Star Trek and whatever.
Hey, I'm just trying to make a better podcast. I don't know what to tell you.
No, I know. I understand. It's research for you. Well, you're a journalist. You do research, right?
I do. For me, have been since long before it was cool.
Researchaholic.
I am an information consumer. I read like countless news articles a day. I consume podcasts. I consume information.
So in your own way, this is the whole thing. And I think Keen's wife had said that it was a Black Mirror episode, and it was, because I think one of the episodes with Bryce Dallas Howard, where she lives in a society where you get points, from your friends, and you get likes, and you can't advance in society unless you have a lot of likes, which people could see that, like, we've got YouTube influencers, you've got like LinkedIn followers, you've got, Twitter followers, you've got Facebook friends, like there's all these people collecting this ethereal cred just through or reputation, gathering. But it's like they're collecting charm bracelets like the kids used to do in the 70s, right? Like, it's meaningless at the end of the day, right? And I think that so what it is the metaphor of dot and bubble is this little dot, which is like a little computer that floats in the air in front of you, and you wake it up in the morning, and then you tell it to do the bubble, and you go through your day looking like in a Vision Pro. Your whole world is just consumed with other people in this big giant chat room, which the Doctor and Ruby are trying to break into to sort of talk to people. And at first, the star of this show, she dismisses them because she doesn't like the message they're giving, which is part of the sort of ostrich with his head in the sand kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's kind of like, and then she can't walk a straight line without her bubble in front of her, kind of thing, Meanwhile, the world is being consumed. Everybody's disappearing online because they're all being consumed by these big giant bugs, right? Which the doctor's trying to protect them from, and it's kind of like these people are stuck inside this bubble and they can't see. It's like not seeing the forest for the trees, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
They can't see beyond the bubble. And then it turns out the dots are actually part of feeding that illusion, right? So as they try and take over, right?
Yep. Yeah. Again, I kind of get what they were aiming for, but I don't know that it landed as well as I would have liked. I think the observation, was it Keen's wife that said that?
Yeah.
I think it's bang on. I think this was a better Black Mirror episode than it was a Doctor Who episode.
Yeah.
But I did like the point of it where the doctor near the end of the episode basically says like, hey, only a handful of you made it out. Why don't you all hop in my TARDIS? I've got a solution here, a real one. I'll get you off planet. We'll do this. And they all kind of scoff at him and are like, we did this without you. We're fine. I don't know what they were going for there. If that was supposed to speak to like this sort of entitlement to millennials that is very pervasive when you read articles online, or I don't know what they were going for there. But then the anguish, the angst that you get from Ncuti Gatwa playing the doctor saying, let me save you, and they aren't listening, almost feels like the flip of that, where it's basically people of a younger generation saying like, we can fix this if you try, and the older generation saying, nah, we don't really need you.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was again, there were some interesting points in here. I liked obviously the exploration, but I'm not sure that it landed 100%. So yeah, it was a good episode. It was a little all over the place.
It's interesting, my whole business has been supporting people and helping them with their problems with their computers and things and apps and whatever. And I can't tell you the number of times I've gone through a situation where I want to help somebody and they don't want my help. They just say, no, I'm fine. It'll be fine. I don't really need it. I don't need to, I kind of live with somebody like that too, right? But,
you said it. I didn't.
I know, but it is well, you said it before, but it's frustrating to me, and it's frustrating to the number one fan, and that when that happens to him too, I'm sure, right? Because but the wisdom of age, for those of you listening, is that eventually you have to just learn to let that go, right?
Yep.
That's the challenge, right?
Well, and you can lead a horse to water, right? Like you
can I like to say you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him think.
Yeah. Amen.
Right. So it's interesting though. So another thing that came from Keen and his wife in the spoiler room here is they noticed that the woman who plays Mummy is the same woman who played the hiker in the previous episode.
Yep. And
it's the same woman who was the voice or the AI talking, the rep talking about the war machine in the one with the bombs.
Yep.
And she was the same woman working in the cafeteria. And it turns out her name is Susan Twist.
Dun, dun,
and Russell T. Davis says there's always a twist at the end.
Yep.
Because her name is always in the credits.
Yep.
Now, there isn't much about her, which I think is kind of interesting. And there may be a thread of what's the connection in this thread? Like, why, like, who is she? Maybe she's going to be the new master or something like that, right?
So they establish all the way back into the holiday special, the specials that they did, the anniversary specials last year. We know that there's that larger big bad, right? We know there's a big bad that's coming, and we even saw that this season with the episode with the what was the character, the musical character, the musical episode with the Beatles. The character is basically being sucked away and says, the big bad is coming. So I think this excellent pair on our Slack channel have definitely found something here that is absolutely the direction it seems to be heading, is that there's this larger big bad that is clearly like right in front of their faces, but they can't see it. So interesting to see how that materializes again. We only have a handful of episodes left.
The one who waits is almost here, right?
That's right. The one who waits. So that's, I think we probably have an arrow pointing to who that is. We just don't know who really that is and sort of what their larger agenda is, but really good spot by the, well, it's interesting. If you go to her IMDb page, there is no other credits for her other than these ones. Yeah. So I don't even think her name is Susan Twist. Oh, there's no way. That would be too convenient. So no, I absolutely. I think this is. Well, do you remember it was the first season of Discovery where there was the one character that was like, we were pretty sure it was a Klingon in disguise, but so they used a different name, and I think this is a little chicanery here, but. Yeah, it seems like we're gonna get the answer in the not distant future. I only think we have 3 more episodes to go before this series. Well,
she's been in 6 episodes so far, so including the Church at Ruby Road. So
yeah. It'd be really disappointing if after all this that's Ruby's mom or something. But I think it's more likely that this is the
oh, you just ruined it for everybody.
The one who what was it? The one who waits. The one who
waits, so there's an expression here at the very end. Hang on, the end of this article. I just read it. I've got a link. I'll put a link in the show notes to this article.
Yep.
The one who waits is almost here.
Yep.
In the Devil's Court, Maestro mentions being part of a pantheon of godlike beings, which we already know includes the Father, the toy maker, but before the musical villain is gobbled up by the Ionic piano.
Yeah, iconic. It's the Beatles. Iconic, it's the Beatles piano, right?
Oh, the Beatles piano, iconic piano. The cry out warning. The one who waits is almost here. Is that really the Beatles piano?
I sincerely doubt that.
I don't know. I've seen tours of Abbey Road Studio, and there is an upright piano in the studio, which is the piano that Let It or Hey Jude, Let It Be, or the Long and Winding Road. All that stuff was written on.
Yeah. Well, that's
and
possible,
Lady Madonna
but
too, right? So,
I don't know. I mean, but in fact, the one that the character was crawling in and out of clearly wasn't, but yeah.
Well, yeah, it was, but I wonder if it was meant to be like, or if some scenes it was, right? Anyway, that's a great thing. Let's move on to our watch list, because I'm sure this way longer episode than people expected, but there you go.
But, Tim and I like to chat, I know what to tell you.
Now that we got Discovery out of the way, we can just talk.
That's right.
Okay. So what you got?
I got a couple things. New trailer, a teaser trailer dropped today that I was very excited about. Very excited about. And that is a new Wallace and Gromit is coming. We only got a little 20, 25 second teaser today. Was Feathers McGee? Is that the character?
Yes.
From the original series of shorts.
The wrong trousers, I think.
Yes. So Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul, FOWL, is coming in winter of 2024. So I assume somewhere near Christmas time-ish. We will probably see this from the BBC. Where it will air here, I don't know. But we are getting our first new Wallace and Gromit in ages. I mean, we've gotten some of the contraptions and the inventions, but we really haven't.
They've had a few movies. They did a few movies, but all the original models burned in that fire.
In the fire, right? I know,
including Feathers McGee.
Yeah. So Feathers McGee, for those who don't recognize the name, if you have watched any of the classic Wallace and Gromit animated,
have you seen this chicken?
Classics is a penguin who slapped a rubber glove on his head and went undercover as a criminal, and that was his disguise, was that he was disguised as a chicken. So the trailer simply shows a bunch of belongings being handed back, and then a close up of Feathers McGee with some very ominous music, implying that after all this time he's out and might be looking for some vengeance on Wallace and Gromit for catching him in the first place. But I can't tell you. I mean, you and I are both huge Wallace and Gromit fans. I mean, those original shorts are not just really entertaining; they are really masterful works of art. They are really something very special in animation, the way that they work those. Of course, the voice work, so much went into those original Aardmans, and they really are special. So getting to dip back into that universe is super exciting. Obviously, got to wait another 6 months or so, but I'm really, really excited to see that world come back. Something I'm gonna watch in the next couple of days when Netflix turned the calendar into June here in Canada, and I believe in the United States as well. Jaime confirmed Godzilla -1, which came out the end of last year in theaters, as dropped as a Netflix movie. I'm totally gonna check that one out. I've heard from a number of people who are of the nerdy persuasion that it's a great one. Some have said it might be the best Godzilla movie ever made, so I'm definitely gonna dive into that. It's coming. It's out already on Netflix. You can get it wherever you get your Netflixies. And next week is another drop in this. I mean, this is just a killer month for the content that we love. The Boys season 4 comes out on June 13th, so next week for us. And a few days later than that is going to be House of the Dragon season 2. So we're just getting a ton of great content over the next little while that we'll definitely be hopefully chatting about as we continue. We'll keep talking about The Acolyte. We'll keep talking about The Boys. We'll keep talking about sounds like we're going to have some Star Trek Prodigy to talk about. So we may be Discovery lists from now on, but we're going to have a lot of good content to talk about for a while.
Yep. Cool. All right. Well, next week for me is a big week. This is going to be a really crazy month. WWDC 2024 is next week. I'm going to be going to California on Tuesday. I'm giving a talk next week. So that, for those of us in tech, is the fire hose where, we'll see Vision Pro 2.0, whatever that's going to be, iOS, macOS, tvOS, watchOS, all that stuff is going to get updated with new features. On Monday is the keynote for that, for those of you driving at home or transporting at home, as Jaime would say. I started watching Jim Henson and IDMM, which was, I think, your pick a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, it might have been Jaime's, I think. But yeah, I think we're all pretty keen for it.
Yeah, so it's out already on Disney Plus. I watched it a bit of it. I wore my Vision Pro when I watched it yesterday. Yeah, it looks pretty good. I'm sort of halfway through it. I mean, I remember some of those bits from TV back in the early days, even before Sesame Street. He was on, the Ed Sullivan Show, and he was on a few other shows. You would see Henson and the Muppets, and it's interesting, him and his wife at first, and meeting Frank Oz and all that kind of stuff. So it's really kind of cool vignette of old archival footage they put together for this thing.
Nice.
And the other thing I watched was The Godfather, the original Godfather movie. I've seen it. I remember when I was a kid, The Godfather was the first movie where there was a line to get into the theater that I can remember, right? I'm sure there were for, other things, but I mean, that would have been like 1972 at the Penn Center Mall in St. Catharines, people lining up to see this movie. And so I knew about it at the age of 12 because everybody's talking about it. And then I think a year later, Jaws came out, and Jaws was another blockbuster, right? But I think Godfather was the first sort of blockbuster movie that I knew of in that sense. But what was interesting about it was I had watched the whole series of The Offer, which Jaime had his pick was on Paramount Plus. We couldn't watch it until we got a Paramount Plus account here. But so I watched The Offer, and The Offer is about the making of the underground, underworld making of this Hollywood movie by this first time producer, right? He was a computer programmer who became a producer and is given this Godfather script based on the Mario Puzo book, which was the biggest selling book at the time, right? So, but apparently the Mafia and even Frank Sinatra were upset about the presentation of the Mafia and the Mafia is actually a word that we use. They don't use it themselves, right? But it's a term that's been used for them. So he agrees to that's why the word mafia is never mentioned in the movie. And it's also filmed in Sicily, where the Corleone family is from, and that kind of stuff. The horse's head in the bed the beginning of the movie is a real horse's head. Yeah.
You don't get to see that kind of stuff in movies, that authenticity anymore.
And the actor didn't know, and so part of his reaction was genuine, right? That he realized this was really a dead horse. But they got it from a dog food place, apparently. Well, because they were using horses meat and dog food, right?
Of course, yeah.
Back in the day. But so yeah, but really interesting. But the other thing about it was that the art director was a big fan of Caravaggio, and Caravaggio, there's actually a term in art history called Caravaggio chiaroscuro, and what it means is, you know, that sort of, you've seen Caravaggio's paintings before. Mm-hmm. They're brightly lit, but they have very deep shadows. So it's kind of like the characters are in these dark environments, and they just come into the light, and you see parts of them. There's like the famous painting of Jesus pointing forward, and he's gesturing forward with his hands, and the apostles are sort of gathering around him, and you know, like as you go into the folds of his clothing or his robes, it's very dark, and you know, it's a dark background and that kind of stuff. And there's all kinds of, and so the Godfather, now that you watch it again, is totally a Caravaggio painting. All the way through, the way it was lit. And of course, there was a big argument between Francis Ford Coppola and the art director, because Coppola wanted the actors to sort of be loose and free with their acting, and the art director guy wanted them to hit their spots so they get lighted correctly. Right? So it's interesting, because I mean, I never really thought about it from that point of view. There are scenes where there's some characters in the movie you can't even see them because they're in the shadows, and then you see them move around and stuff like that, and you see their profile, but you never actually see the person's face because they're so badly lit, right? So I can see the guy's point, but it adds a lot of atmosphere to the movie, and it also implies the underworldness of that whole sort of part of society, right? And by the way, they call themselves Cosa Nostra in Italy, and it means our thing. It's like our thing. It's our thing. You know, they don't give it a name, you know. So it was a really interesting movie to see after seeing. I mean, I've seen it probably 100 times, but I never really sat down. I've never sat down and watched since probably the first time I watched it from beginning to end the movie, right? And see, because you see how Marlon Brando came back in. He was a loose cannon actor, super famous from the 50s and 60s movies, but nobody wanted to touch him with a 10-foot pole, right? And like there's even a scene where he's petting a cat he's talking to people in his daughter's getting married, and he's talking to people in his office, making them offers, making them deals and that kind of stuff. And he's got this cat in his hand, and he's just stroking the cat. Well, it turns out the cat wasn't in the script.
Oh, really?
The cat was a cat that Marlon Brando picked up in an alley behind the studio and just brought it in, and it was just part of his method, right? And they left it in, and it's such a captivating scene, right? Sort of thing. And then the whole connection with oranges and stuff like that, all the way through the movie. If you watch it again, you'll see that there's always oranges being consumed. Yep. Those are like, they weren't a straight metaphor, but they're kind of interesting. And then the sort of explanation of, I've never really, I mean, I kind of got the movie, but I didn't get the movie, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I guess I really wasn't paying it. I've never read the books. I didn't really get the whole, the part where Michael goes to Sicily, and his wife he marries this young girl who's, love at first sight kind of thing. And she gets blown up because the mafia, I'm doing air quotes,
yep,
were trying to get to him.
Yep.
Right. Trying to find out where he was and trying to like get him out of hiding kind of thing. Right. And that's when he turns and becomes and realizes, as a peaceful pacifist, non-conforming guy, he was not supposed to be in the family business because he was the young baby and he was the nice guy kind of thing. Right. And how he turns in that moment and realizes he can't, like the line, I don't know if it's from the I think it's from Sopranos, I keep trying to leave, but they keep dragging me back in again. Or is that from The Godfather 2?
It's 3, actually. That's from The Godfather 3. Every time I'm out, they pull me back in, yeah.
Yeah, they pull me back in, yeah. So, yeah, this is yeah, because, again, yeah, he tries to get out in in Godfather 3, right? So,
yep.
Yeah, so, I mean, really interesting to see how this, if you're a partial fan of even if you're not a fan, it's really interesting to see how movies are made and the politicking behind it. Because, they were owned by Gulf and Western, which is a business, and they have stockholders and they need to make money, and, decisions they want to make about the movie, like cutting it down to like really short because, they can get more showings in a day.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Right. So, and it's 2.5 hour movie, right? So, or over 2 hour movie, which is unheard of at the time. Right. And I mean, it went from like being this nobody wants to make the movie, nobody wants to show the movie, they want to cut it down to half, to winning best Oscar movie that next year, right? So including Marlon Brando. Marlon Brando is interesting. Marlon Brando didn't attend, and he had the forgotten the name, the Small Feather or whatever, go up and do a speech about Aboriginal rights or First Peoples rights.
Yep.
Famously, like, and I think that was the anniversary, was just a couple of years ago, right? The 30th or 50th anniversary, whatever it was.
Yep. Yeah, it was the 50th anniversary, and then...
Oh, I think she just passed away recently.
Yeah, there was two things. It was the 50th anniversary first, and then it was she had passed away because he didn't even show up, right? She went up on his behalf.
But that was part of his loose cannon bit. And then apparently Al Pacino, who was also nominated, also didn't show up because he felt he should have been. And it was like it was almost like his big break, his first movie as an actor. The studio didn't want Pacino. If you watch the trailer, there's all this like, no way, Pacino's going to do it. He went on from this to do Serpico, and then all the Godfather movies, and look at where his career is today, right?
Yeah.
And he started out in this character, right? So he protested he didn't go to the Oscars because he thought he should have been nominated for Best Actor, not Supporting Actor.
Wow, but I mean, it's a murderer's row too. Like when you look at the history of that movie, like the number of
James Caan, Robert Duvall, and Al Pacino were all nominated for Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah, and then part two included De Niro on the top of that pile. Like it's just obscene how much of old, 1970s and all-time Hollywood were in that one movie.
Yeah. Well, and he's also not in it. George Lucas apparently played a huge. He's the one that suggested Pacino, right? But
well, because he and Francis Ford Coppola were very, very close.
And it was a bunch of them. It was Lucas, Spielberg, and not Zemeckis, maybe Zemeckis.
No,
and who's the one that? Yeah. And the Italian guy who just won for The Departed. Scorsese.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They were part of that
new Hollywood movement, right?
Yeah. They were all hanging out together, and the artists' salons back in the day, right? They were making movies together, and they were all in helping each other out, right? So with scripts and stuff, right? Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, very cool.
Actually, and the producer, I'm sorry, I can't remember his name right now. I probably should look it up.
Was it Bob Evans? Robert Evans?
No. Bob Evans. Bob Evans was the guy who gave him the script, but I gotta get his name because he actually won another Academy. He won an Academy Award for Best Producer, Best Film, right?
Yep.
It goes to the producer, and he also won for $1 Million Baby. The Godfather, but his second movie was The Longest Yard. He wrote that one. Albert S. Ruddy. Yeah, Matthew Good, not the musician, played Robert Evans or Bob Evans.
Yeah, he was apparently a lot of fun. Some of the stories of Robert Evans are legendary.
Yeah. It was quite a character in the story too.
Yeah. They made a documentary about him a number of years ago. I think it's called "The Kid Stays in the Shot" or "The Kid Stays in the Movie" or something. That talks about some of the sort of legendary behind the scenes. And apparently, he was just. I mean, this was an era where Hollywood was, something still. Lots of drugs, lots of sort of misogyny, lots of stuff going on in there that would not, I think, pass muster now, but
and it's interesting in terms of Easter eggs and stuff like that in the offer. A lot of the things they say in the offer are actually right out of the film, out of the Godfather. And Juno Temple's in it too, and she plays his assistant. Yeah. / she's not just his assistant; she's also like she ends up going into a career as an agent. There you go. It's funny and Giovanni Ribisi plays Joe Colombo, who's the big boss guy who helps him with the movie, right? So he played a really good portrayal. Anyway, but yeah. So I guess that's it for another week, and so go and get in touch with you, Jonathan. Where would they find you?
You can find me on Twitter or X or on Instagram as @JPK News, or you can find me on YouTube at youtube.com/@JPK.
Cool. And where do you think we would find Jaime if we were
trying to find him? I feel like I should know this after almost 200 episodes.
I think he's like
something Something about
Dev with the nose. Dev with the nose.
Dev with the beard? No, that's not right.
Dev with the little dog on.
No.
Mastodon, right? Mastodon?
Mastodon? No. Oh, wait. Twitter.
Twitter, what's that?
Well, he insists. It's always Twitter.
Oh, okay, yeah.
At Dev with the hair.
On Twitter, right. That does ring a bell.
Doesn't it?
I had a bad feeling about that. Anyway, that's our Easter egg for the show.
Let's just see if Jaime actually listens, if he makes fun of us about that next week.
That's true. My name is Timitra, Timmitra, on the Twitter machine, on the X machine, on the thread, ball, spindle, whatever. Yeah, just not on LinkedIn. Strange. I am on LinkedIn, but not with that name. Go figure. All right. Until next time. See you in the future. Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Spockcast podcast. If you want to find out more about the podcast or see the episode show notes, visit the Spockcast website at spockcast.com. You can get in touch with us on the website or follow us on Twitter at Spockcast. If you have feedback or questions, send us a tweet with the hashtag AskSpockcast. If you like the show, please consider recommending us to a friend, writing a review on iTunes, or pledging any amount at patreon.com/Spockcast. You can find details on how to help us on our website, spockcast.com/sponsor us. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the future.
I'm running a course right now. I have a sort of a full-time job, but I also have to write this course, which I had committed to doing, which is everything's kind of like the deadlines are like, one deadline was for one course was last Wednesday. This one was this Wednesday. And I don't know, it just, these things takes me so long to write, because I won't let anything go through crappy, right? So I spend like 18 hours writing these stupid courses. Not 18 hours straight, but over days, right?
Yeah. No, I believe.
And I'm really good at procrastinating, and I'll tell you about it later.
Yeah.
But yeah. So.
Well, I think we've established that in the past. Your best work is starting, not finishing, right?
Yeah, well, that's true. But I mean, yeah, and I don't know. I don't know about you. Like, I know you can just write by sitting down, but I have to be in a zone for it.
Yeah, I do too. But I think it's just learned habits, right? I was a writer for so long that I do find it more daunting. I mean, depends on the mindset. Like, I find the work that I have been doing the past few years outside of journalism with a little less deadline pressure, I find it a little bit more manageable. But when you're writing on deadline, there are times where it sort of sneaks up on you. There is, and any journalist who's worked a long time will tell you, any writer of any ilk, there is nothing quite like staring at a blank page. Is really hard to just take that first step. And I know people who are professional screenwriters and comic writers and novelists and stuff like that. It's true that you just have to start banging it out, and you can always go back and fix things, but you have to just sit down and go. You can't hem and haw and make a perfect plan before you do it, because you'll just sit the whole day there doing nothing.
Yeah, well, I do percolate, and it's funny. Like, I like to let things percolate for a bit before I sit down, and then I just go. But the other thing is life gets in the way, right? Like, there's dogs, and dog parks, and all kinds of other stuff. I'm looking for this actor's name here. Since we're doing it, Henry Kissinger's in the movie.
Ooh,
yeah, you don't like him?
Oh my God. No. Enthusiastically, no. He was a very, very bad man whose some of his plans led to the death of many, 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 many innocent people. His foreign policy was very much steeped in blood. Yes. One of those things that I devour a lot is history content. So yeah, he's not at the top of my list. When he passed away last year, I guess, there was a few people saying, well, heaven's safe. He's not going there. He's going somewhere else very fast.
Going to work with his buddy Nixon.
Yeah, I'm sure they appreciate the view from down there.
Yeah, if that was real, but it's not.
Yeah, well, that's true. But
this app, there we go. I figured it out.
Yeah, we're going to spend the weekend trying to get this place dog ready because puppy's on his way.
By the way, we have the manual for the gate that we gave you. Gave it to Carol. It's sitting in the kitchen.
Okay.
So
I imagine once the pup arrives next week, you guys can come by and say hi.
Yeah, I don't know. We had our sale last week, and there's all these baby gates around, but I didn't know how many you need.
Well, I guess we'll see. Our intention is to mainly keep him on the main floor, especially because he'll be,
It'll be tiny for the first little while.
He will, and he'll also be training and stuff like that. So we have a gate that blocks off going downstairs already because we had that for Kirby and Sin, and then he won't be able to go upstairs for a bit. So it's really a question of, are we going to block off the kitchen or anything else? So I think we're going to kind of see what his temperament is like, and we'll figure it out from there. But the nice thing about our main floor is it's like, we're going to pull up, there's only one carpet. We're just going to pull up the one carpet, and it's like a little rug in the living room. So it's just hardwood and tile. So, I mean, if he has an accident or whatever, it's not going to do any damage. So, yeah, I guess we'll sort of see what we need.
Mm-hmm.
There may come a time because, I mean, look how quickly your dog figured out stairs, right? Like, they're clever.
2 days.
Yeah, exactly. So,
but we think that she might have had stairs before she came to us.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, these little ones that we're getting they're from a farm. And they actually have they built like a breeding house or like a puppy kennel for the dogs outside. So they're out there, they're not in the house. So this will be a big transition for her. Be like, hey, you get to come inside. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see what kind of wild man we're bringing into our house. I keep sitting here in the evenings with Sin, and she's just she's pretty chill. She's 4 years old now, and I just keep
idea.
That's it. I just keep thinking you have no idea what's going to land on your lap next week. I feel like a little bit guilty, but then I know she loved Kirby and she loves having playmates and stuff. So I'm sure she'll get a lot more out of it. But initially, I think she's going to be like, "Hey, cool!" Just like what she is with Sorsha. Hey, this is cool. When is it leaving?
Yeah, so my dog keeps saying that too, right?
Yeah, I bet Mac is. Yeah. Well, I mean, again, I don't think it'll take very long before Sorsha can come over and have playtime with Puppy, and Cinder will sit on the back of the couch and laugh at them.
Yep.
The show Sharon and I went to last night was part of that same. It's Indie Music Week in Toronto, right?
Is that what it is? Yeah.
Yeah, the whole week there's all kinds of shows and stuff.
Oh, so it's not like an awards thing where the band's going to play. So it was like the band playing sort of thing?
No. So we got trapped by this last year. So last year for the Jim Beam Indie Awards, they basically advertised it as Charlotte Cardin is coming and she's going to play History, that club down in the beaches.
Yeah.
And so we bought tickets and we went and we lined up, and, we were standing there, and somebody from inside came out and said, just so you guys, because we were there, like the doors were at 7 and we were there at 6:15 or something like that. And there was already, we were probably 10, 15 people in line. And the person came out and said, just so you know, Charlotte's not going on until 10 o'clock. And we were like, that's weird. Why would you not be going on until 10 o'clock? And then it started sort of getting out there that actually they had just kind of not been clear on what it was. She was supposed to be part of the awards, and she was just going to do 3 or 4 songs. And people were like, that's not how you advertise this. You advertise this as a Charlotte Cardin show. We want to see Charlotte Cardin, not your awards show. So we went in and they blew through the awards show in about an hour and 10 minutes. A couple other performances. Maestro Fresh West, the man, came out and played a song, and a few other people came out and did songs. They handed out a bunch of awards, and then they were like, okay, we made some time. So then Charlotte came out and played for like an hour and 15 minutes or something like that. So we got like more of a fulsome set. But like, I think she was caught off guard. I think they were caught off guard. We were all caught off guard. So it was kind of a gong show. And it was one of the worst. Like I through work as a journalist, I had gone to countless award shows for different, you know, movies and music and comics and all kinds of stuff over the years. It was one of the most shambolic ones I've ever been to. Like the music was off. Like Maestro literally, like, you know, they talk about a mic drop. He dropped his mic, but not in a good way. He was just like, I'm leaving. Like it's not good.
Threw it to the ground.
Literally, it wasn't like a mic drop. It was a mic throw. He was like, this is crap and I'm leaving. So yeah, when I saw that you had mentioned that the thing with Finger 11 was happening, I was like, is it actually them concert? Is it like the awards and they're going to come out and play a couple songs? Like what is it too? But in the end, we went to that show last night and I was on my feet from almost 4 hours and my foot is messed up.
Was it supposed to be a
No. This was just a regular show. This was just a small venue. It was at the Drake, the Drake Hotel. It was just a little like 200-person show for this.
Oh, that's tiny. Yeah, it's
a small show. It was a singer from Saskatchewan who's actually just recently located to Toronto. Her name is Katie Tupper. She's amazing. Like she was amazing. Like I'd heard her on Spotify. I was looking forward to buying her EP when we went, and I did. I had a chance to talk with her dad, who was selling merch, and her boyfriend, who was there selling merch before the show. And I knew I liked her music. She does kind of like neo soul, so like think like Adele-ish kind of stuff. You know, sort of throaty, slow moving jazz. And she's only like 24 years old. So I was like, okay, well, small show. We'll check her out. She blew the doors off the place. She was like incredible voice, great stage presence. Like she could be Canada's next big thing. Like she is amazing. So we were blown away. But after spending like 4 hours on my feet, just a few days after having my foot surgery again, today I could barely walk. I was like, oh my God, what a mess. So... But yeah, I'll be curious to see what happened with that Finger 11 show, whether it was like a proper show or how it all came together.
Well, how would we ever know if I didn't go?
Well, they will put it on social media, but again, on social media they often put a spin on things. Like we were at the show live tweeting last year, being like, WTF! Like so many people were like, what is this? Like what's happening here? Like I don't understand. They really didn't do a good job of articulating exactly what we were getting ourselves into.
Well, I mean, like the funny thing is, like they said, you know, send an email if you want to win tickets, and I'm like, okay, well, it's a crapshoot when you do that, right?
Oh yeah.
And then like I get an email back, we'd love to have you come. I'm like, how many people did you invite?
Yeah.
Like, am I a seat filler or what? You know?
Yeah, exactly. Was it through a radio station or like what was the?
No, it's just an email I got because I'm on the Danforth mailing list. I guess, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I just got an email saying, "Hey, Finger 11." They said, you know, and it was like, and I mean, if you held a gun to my head, I couldn't tell you the name of any of their songs, but
but you know them.
Yeah, I know who they are.
No, I mean, you know some of their songs if you heard them.
Yeah. I did listen to the. I did listen to it, and there's like 3 songs that I do recognize, right? So,
yep.
Like the breakout one, the acoustic one that they do.
Yeah, well, it's a One Thing, I think it's called.
Yeah, maybe.
One Thing, wouldn't that be something? Yeah, I mean, again, I've known those guys since they were teenagers in Burlington, and
since they were butt monkeys.
Since they were rainbow butt monkeys, yeah. Again, we used to see them. You know, they would play like the Kiwanis Hall and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, I saw them. They came and played my college when I was in college and stuff like that. And then, yeah, really good guys. But it's, you know, it's amazing to see that they've had this long career. But yeah.
Cool. Yeah. All right. Well, I had like very little sleep yesterday, so I should probably sign off.
Alrighty. So you're in California next week?
Well, so yeah, the plan is I'm leaving on Tuesday morning, so I'll be there Tuesday afternoon, which is like, you know,
yeah,
because it's like I'll leave at 8 in the morning or something like that, and I get there at like noon or something.
Yeah.
And then I don't know when I'm doing my talk either. That's the other thing too. I haven't heard much from these people about it. So I don't know what the schedule is. I'm playing with a band on Wednesday. And then Thursday, I'm coming back on the red eye, so I'm leaving the airport. I'm at the airport's like 10 o'clock at night or something. So, which is like 2 a.m. for us or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I arrive like, early morning. But, and I'll be baked. But, so I have the boot camp class on Thursday next week, but I also have we also have a class on Monday, which is kind of dumb because Monday's going to be it's the fire hose day with Apple, right? Where we're going to get the keynote at 1 p.m. and then at 5 p.m. is the State of the Union thing where they reveal all the stuff that developers want to know, right? And then and then some point next week I'm giving a talk, right? But I don't know. Again, I don't know when. And I might be doing a workshop too, but I still, again, I don't know. They haven't been very clear about that.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, let's stay in touch. Obviously, Jaime hopefully will be back next week. I'm pretty flexible, so if you want to move it,
you can record. Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to move it to next Friday or whatever to record again, we've got.
I might be zonked on Friday too.
Yeah, it's true. So again, whatever works, or if you want Jaime to do it, then we can do that too. So let me know.
Yep. Okay.
Cool.
Say goodbye now.
All right.
Bye.
See ya.